Now I want to show you how to take clearer, sharper, better photos, and one way in which you might do this is to use a tripod or possibly a monopod. But why, when and how do you use these? Well, stick around for more great photo tips from the Photogenius channel. Hi, Paul here from Photogenius. Welcome to the channel. Now, for those that don't know, I've been running photography courses and workshops here in Brisbane for over 10 years. And for people that aren't able to visit me here in Brisbane, I now have this, the Photogenius channel on YouTube, where I like to do photography tutorials, I do reviews, I share tips and tricks, all designed to help you get more from your camera. So if you're new here, please consider subscribing. Now, many of the videos that I post on YouTube are inspired by questions that I get asked either here on YouTube or sometimes on my courses and workshops here in Brisbane. How do I take great photos at night? What lens should I buy next? How do I clean my camera and lenses? How do I blur backgrounds? This video is no exception. During last weekend's photography workshop here in Brisbane, we were talking about tripods and monopods. What's the difference between using a tripod versus a monopod? How do you use them? Which situations should I use them? So I thought this would make a great video, and here we are. So let's begin by talking about tripods. A tripod is simply a three-legged device that is designed to hold the camera steady. And this can be particularly useful when using certain camera settings, mostly when you're using slow shutter speeds. When would you use a slow shutter speed? Well, when you're shooting in low light. So we're talking about dusk, dawn, nighttime photography, maybe shooting interiors and landscape photography. Now, it's a lovely sunny day here in Brisbane today, so if I was to go outside and take a photo with this camera, then I'm going to usually use a fast shutter speed, and that's because when you take a picture, the shutter opens, lets light into the camera, then closes, but because it's such a sunny day, I don't want to let too much light into the camera, so I'll use a fast shutter speed. We're talking about maybe 1/2000, 1/4000, or maybe even as fast as 1/8000th of a second. And camera shake is not an issue because the shutter opens and closes so quickly that even if you're a bit unsteady when you're holding the camera, it's not going to be an issue. But when you're taking photos in low light, the best way of taking a picture is to slow the shutter down, leave it open longer, because that will let more light into the camera. But because the shutter is now open longer, camera shake can be a real problem. And that's where these come in. So when should I put the camera on a tripod? Well, generally speaking, when your shutter dips below the point where you can confidently handhold the camera and get sharp photos, then it's time for a tripod. Now, there are a few factors that play a part here, and this can be a bit tricky working this one out. So I've done a separate video all about this. I'll put a link up here and also in the description below. But if you're taking photos and they look blurry, it's probably time for a tripod. If you're shooting in low light, it's definitely worth using a tripod. And for a standard lens like this 18 to 55mm lens, roughly speaking, if you're dipping below 80, 60th of a second, it's probably time to use a tripod. Now, generally speaking, most tripods look very similar. This is a full-size tripod. It has a couple of levers on each leg, allowing you to extend the legs. So this particular one is really big and very tall. But if that isn't tall enough, on this tripod, you can also raise the center column as well if you want a little bit more height. This part here is the tripod head, and this allows you to move the camera around when it's obviously fixed on the tripod. And on the very top here is the QR plate. And this is a rectangular plate that you remove and attach to the bottom of the camera, and generally it stays on the camera, and this allows you to quickly and easily get on and off the tripod. So it's a QR plate that stands for quick release. So this is a full-size tripod. A very popular tripod for traveling is the Manfrotto B3 tripod. That's a great tripod. I did a review on it. I'll put a link below. Here I've got what is called a GorillaPod, which is a small tripod with flexible bendy legs, very popular. And here is a little mini tripod called the Manfrotto Pixie Evo. That is a tripod that I featured on a lot of my videos here on YouTube. So it doesn't really matter what tripod you go for, whether it's a small compact tripod or a full-size tripod. They're all really cool, and they are designed to do one thing, and that's keep the camera steady. So let's now talk about monopods. Now, a monopod, unlike a tripod that has 3 legs, is just one single leg. So if you let it go, it's going to fall over. So that means it's absolutely pointless using one of these if you want to do long exposures, nighttime photography. But a monopod is a must-have if you want to do maybe sports or wildlife photography. And that's largely because if you're taking a photo at a sports event or if you're photographing wildlife, you often find that you're not close to your subject. So for that reason, you're likely to use a longer lens. These are called telephoto lenses, like this one here. It's a longer lens or longer focal length, and it allows you to zoom in nice and close to your subject. But these come at a price. When you zoom in, your lens will exaggerate your hand movements, and the more you zoom in, the longer this lens is, the more extra shake you will notice in your images. So a monopod can be a really good solution for that. Plus, if you're photographing, say, a sports event and you're holding a camera, maybe a lens like this, for up to 90 minutes, then it can get really quite tiring. So a monopod is not just a solution for tired arms, but it's also a solution for shaky, blurry photos. Now, when I'm using my monopod, if I want to go from shooting in the landscape mode to the portrait mode, on this particular lens, I just turn this knob here and then I can rotate the camera into position. Vertical position, usually referred to as portrait. This way is landscape. Now, if you have a lens that doesn't offer this function, no problem. If you want to use a monopod and you want that flexibility, just pick up a separate ball head. These are quite affordable. There's one here, and this goes on the top of the monopod, and then you can undo this and you can move the camera into any position you like. And if you want to find out more about these, you know where to look. You'll find details in the description below the video. Now, what do you do if you love your sports photography, you love your wildlife photography, and you've got your heart set on a monopod, but you also like doing some landscape photography? Should you buy a tripod and a monopod? Well, to be honest, I'd probably say yes, because they are really useful accessories. But to save some money, look out for a tripod that also doubles as a monopod. Now, what I mean is there are some tripods out there that have a removable leg. You can take one of the legs off and use it as a monopod, 2 for 1. And for more details, just check out the links below this video. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you did, please give us a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. For more information on any of the products I've mentioned in this video, just click on Show More down below the video, where you can also leave your comments and questions. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope to see you again sometime soon. See ya. Bye.